So I just saw The Substance, which I was not expecting this film to be what it was. It's directed by Coralie Fargeau, her second movie ever. It stars Demi Moore and Margaret Qualley, and has a bit part by Dennis Quaid, who absolutely chews up the scenery and everything that he is in. First things first, this movie is extremely well done. Coralie knows what she's doing as a director. It's very obvious she had a vision for what this movie was supposed to be, what she wanted it to be, and she executes that vision very well. It is shot extremely well. The lighting is great. The acting is fantastic. Demi Moore does a great job. Margaret Qualley owns the role as well. And like I said, Dennis Quaid, who is the third biggest part in this film, absolutely nails it to the wall as well. But Demi is incredible. She plays an aging starlet who has just basically lost her job as a television star and doesn't really know what else to do with her life. And she basically gets a second lease on life by being offered this mysterious experimental substance that the movie frames as creating a better version of yourself. I don't want to get super into the logistics because it's a big part of the movie and I don't want to spoil it. But I will say the movie does a really good job of setting up exactly who Demi Moore's character is as Sparkle, and very quickly what her motivations are and what she wants out of life and why she wants to take this substance. The movie also does a very good job of telling you what the rules of this substance are without having to stop the movie to explain everything to you. Demi is explained, through a thumb drive and an ad on a thumb drive, what the substance is, what it's supposed to do, and the rules behind it. And then they also reinforce those rules through these like flashcards that she gets when she first gets the substance delivered to her. And those rules are very, very, very clear as to what they are. But as to what will happen if you don't follow those rules, they do not tell you. The general idea is you take the substance one time, and that activates your other self, and then every 7 days you have to switch from the bodies that you're using. I will say the movie doesn't make it fully clear whether or not the characters have the same memories and consciousness. It feels more like a Jekyll and Hyde situation than it does like I'm just making myself better. They're two separate people, but the movie makes it very clear that they are the same person. It tells them very early on in the movie, it's one of the rules, you are not different people, you are the same person. However, the actions of one and the actions of the other are not controlled by one or the other. Margaret Qualley's character, who calls herself Sue, is not Sparkle with a younger body. It is Sparkle's consciousness inside of another body, acting out things and desires and dreams that she wanted. It's interesting because it almost is in a way like I use a Dr. and Jekyll, but if a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde were in different bodies, but shared the same consciousness, one body couldn't function without the other, instead of an actual full-on transformation. That's not a huge spoiler, but that is kind of the gist of it. They're told every 7 days you have to switch, and they explain why. You see it in the movie why, and there's other things that are explained as to how the rules of the substance work, and they do a really good job of explaining those things. There are some questions that I did have, but the movie does answer those down the road. So yeah, it gets really to the point pretty quickly. You get to see the substance activate pretty quickly, and boy oh boy will I say, the level of violence and the level of like body horror in this film was unexpected. I was told that was an aspect of this film, but the way that they do it, the practical effects mixed with like CGI, is extremely well done. And boy, if you are not ready for this, if you're not a fan of body horror, or if you're not prepared for what you're getting into, you will squirm in the theater watching this. It is brutal and gross and violent, but also extremely well done and completely in line with what the movie sets up for what this substance is and what's supposed to happen. So kudos to them for that. I will say the movie is extremely well paced. It's a little over 2 hours long. I think it was well paced. It clips along really, really well. It gets right to the point about everything. You know, Margaret Qualley plays Sue, who is the other self, the better version of Demi Moore's aging Sparkle. And they showcase that a lot with, you know, they show Demi Moore. There's a lot of nudity in this movie. It does not shy away from that. And Demi Moore, they show her body as a woman that's in, you know, her 50s, and she's not afraid to hide. She's not trying to hide it. They show her that she does not have a super young, you know, tight body like she did when she was younger, and they show that in contrast to Margaret Qualley's body. Um, and it is all full frontal, full back, everything. They do not shy away from the nudity in this film. If that's something that you don't like, then you probably won't enjoy this, because there's a lot of it and they do not shy away from it. It is not a major emphasis of the film, but it is a big part of the characters. When they're switching bodies, they're usually naked, and when they're going through some of the things they're going through with the substance and the consequences of that, they're usually naked as well. And so yeah, I really enjoyed it. Like I said, the film is amazingly shot. The sound design is absolutely incredible. It doesn't try to go for traditional horror jump scares. You think that that's might be what they do. They don't do that. They avoid that, which is once again a testament to how well the film is done. But they utilize the sound extremely well to let you know what's going on. It informs how things are in the movie and how things play out in the film, and emphasizes certain scenes and the heaviness of certain scenes in the movie as well. There are a lot of parts of this film that, like I said, are very gross and very surprising and kind of brutal and cringe inducing, but not in the lame way. More just like, oh my god, I can't believe they did that, bro. There are moments where I was like, I wanted to cover my eyes because of how like brutal the scene was. But then what I wasn't ready for and what I was not expecting was the third act. While you can kind of predict some of what's going to happen in the film in the beginning and even in the second act, the third act of the movie goes completely off the rails in a good way. It stops trying to pretend that it's got a good even hand on the wheel with when it comes to the horror. It goes full on Cronenberg, you know, the Thing, John Carpenter's The Thing. It goes full on crazy, grotesque body horror, lots of practical effects, costume design, all of it, dude. It goes absolutely wild. The third act of this had me at the edge of my seat going, oh my gosh, I cannot believe what is happening here. People in the theater were shocked. I really didn't know what to think about it. I was that shocked by it. There is a lot of blood, there's a lot of gore, it is absolutely insane. But the other surprising part of that is there's actually a lot of humor as well to kind of offset how grotesque the horror is in the movie. It is not like a belly laugh film where you're just like going to be rolling around on the floor laughing, but it is funny and it is utilized extremely well to keep you in the film and not just constantly looking at gore and horror and going, what is the point of all of this? It serves a purpose to the themes of the film. It's just dialing everything up to 10. You know, as far as the themes of the film go, it's a lot of Hollywood beauty standards and chasing the past and chasing what was and trying to recapture something that is no longer a part of your life, and what it means to age gracefully and what it means to accept who you are as a person. There's a lot of that in the film, and I think it's extremely well done. So yeah, I think overall, if you're a fan of horror movies, if you like, you know, if you're not bothered by gore, if you're not bothered by body horror, if you're a fan of John Carpenter or Cronenberg, if you're a fan of Jeff Goldblum's the Fly, you like that kind of practical effects and that kind of crazy, scary monster type body horror, this film will be right up your alley. If you're going to be uncomfortable with that, if you're uncomfortable with lots of blood and viscera and things like that, I would say you probably don't want to watch this film. I will also say, like, overall, I think this is a movie that deserves to be seen in theaters. I think if I had seen this at home, I wouldn't have appreciated it as much as I did because the sound design is is set around being in a theater. At times, it makes the theater shake with how deep the bass and the sounds are, things like that. And it's also something that you kind of want to experience around other people. I think watching it by yourself is, you can appreciate it, but watching with other people is where you'll have the most fun, because if you don't have anybody to talk to about this film, it'll be hard to process, in my opinion. I think being able to talk this through with other people is really going to be the strength of this film, and I think that that's lost art nowadays. So I think it's absolutely worth seeing in theaters. I think it's worth seeing with friends. And if I had to give it an absolute grade, I wish I could give it W for Wild, but if I was going to give it a grade from like A to F, I'd probably give it a solid A. I think Demi Moore does a great job. I think she deserves an Oscar nomination, if not an actual Oscar, for going completely full bore into this film. She doesn't shy away from any of the themes. She really owns it, and she does it in a great way. Her performance is really well done. It's over the top when it needs to be, but it's subtle, and there's a lot of nuance when that also needs to be called for within the plot. Margaret Qualley does a great job. Dennis Quaid is a standout. I said that, but he leaves an impression as a character, and I think it's pretty great, as far as like sleazy Hollywood producers are concerned and stuff. So yeah, I think this movie's worth seeing. I think it's a good time. Just be warned about the nudity and about the horror, or in the gore aspect of it, but it's a fun time. It left an impression for sure. I'm not going to forget this movie anytime soon. So yeah, that's going to be it for me. Thanks, appreciate it. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and we'll be doing more reviews down the line. So see ya.